Jaylon Johnson just delivered one of the strongest messages for the Chicago Bears defense today before practice. We're going to talk a little bit about that because this Chicago Bears defense is no longer planning to live and thrive off takeaways. Grady Jarrett also had comments about his upcoming season and the Bears' defensive improvement as well. And Cole Kmet had the perfect response to his number of catches and targets going down this upcoming season. We're going to talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And Jaylon Johnson had a strong, very strong quote where he said this: outside of takeaways, we finished, if I'm not mistaken, bottom 10, bottom 5 in a lot of categories. So for me, we haven't done a darn thing. There's a lot for us to improve on defense. Of course, the offense is rolling, but that's not something we can rely on. Okay, the offense put up 40 and we hold them in 35. To me, that's unacceptable. We still got a lot to work on. We still got a lot to do and improve. If guys aren't hungry, I don't know what to say or what to do about that. We've got a lot of people that are motivated, and we got to go out there and play. Listen, say what you will about Jaylon Johnson, and say what you will about his play last season after being hurt and everything like that, but this was the message that needed to be said about the Chicago Bears defense. Not to say that the Bears aren't still going to coach to takeaways and still not going to get takeaways and stuff like that, but I think so much of people have focused on that because that was the Bears' calling card on defense last season that we forgot. We were bottom in so many different areas that you need to make an improvement on it, right? And so now when you look at half the takeaways being gone anyway with Kevin Byard, Nahshon Wright, those guys being gone, you have to be a more, as I've been calling it all season, functional defense. And when you look at the moves that the Chicago Bears have made, bringing in Kobe Bryant, drafting Dylan Thieneman, bringing in more depth on that defensive line, especially at the tackle position, and the linebackers with Devin Bush, there's a lot that can improve with this defense. And I've been one of the people that's saying, the defense has improved. I know people are like, well, we've done nothing for the defense, and mainly that's because they want the flashy names. But health alone in the cornerback crew is going to help. Even with Kyler Gordon still being hurt, you got a promising rookie in Malik Muhammad. You got Terrell Smith coming back, especially for those that are like, well, do you really want to rely on a rookie? You got Terrell Smith coming back. He's going to be hungry and motivated. You got to get TJ Edwards back healthy, but TJ, DeMarco, Devin Bush, Keyshawn Elliott, Newell Sewell, right? These guys are all going to be trying to show something as well. This is a defense that it needs a leader to step up. And hearing so much throughout this training camp period that a guy like Jaylon Johnson, for example, is back to looking like his Pro Bowl self, back hungry, back motivated, back locked in. That's a big step in the right direction for the Bears to get to the defense that they need to get to. I'm not expecting, I don't think anybody's expecting this defense all of a sudden go from one of the worst defenses to the best defense in the league, but you can be middle of the pack. And I think for what this offense is shaped up to be and how elite it can be on paper, if you do turn around and you have a defense that can even be middle of the pack in areas. And, I know, shout out to, the guy that I can't remember, he has a dog as his profile. He says everything, well, it's hard to do X with a pass rush. It's like everybody's so focused on that. You don't need to have an elite pass rush to be a good defense. You just don't. You need to have a serviceable pass rush. And I think even with the expectation of the leap that Austin Booker, the development Austin Booker is going to make based off his 4.5 seasons and 10 games last season, Montez Sweat being back to himself, you can put together a pass rush that's enough. If you're elite in your coverage, right, and you're elite in your ability to stop the run, which is a big thing there, this defense can make a considerable step up. And like I said, too, a lot of times, it's a synergistic relationship between your pass rush and your pass coverage. You can have a great pass rush, but if your coverage sucks, they can put as much pressure on the quarterbacks, but if those wide receivers get open early, it's not going to matter. Same thing, vice versa. You can have a great coverage, but if your defense can't put no pressure, the quarterback got all day to dance around, eventually something's going to break there. So you just need to be serviceable enough in those areas. And I think when you look at the Bears, if one is serviceable, meaning your coverage or your pass rush are serviceable, but if the other one can be near elite, That's where you can have the real balance and make that push going forward. And that's what the Bears are trying to get into this one, right? They want to be one of the better defenses in the league. I just need them to be top half of the league this season. That's what I need. If you could be top half in the league this season, I think with our offense and the preparation that we have there, a lot of things are going to work. But Jaylon Johnson was the right guy to say this message at the right thing. To say this defense has not done anything, he's right. It hasn't. And I don't mean that to knock anybody. We had Montez with 10 sacks last year, all that type of stuff. But as a unit, it's not that you're dismissing the takeaways and acting like there's something that doesn't matter, but you cannot become a defense that lives and dies off takeaways. You can't do that. It's very rare that an NFL defense it becomes anything substantial by living off takeaways. It's such a small part of the game. You still want to get that. It's going to be great if the Bears can still get takeaways this season, but you cannot. You have to establish some accountability. You have to establish some identity as well, right? And so now, like, you're looking at it too, like, it's not like who's going to replace the takeaways? Kevin Byard produced 7 takeaways himself. Nahshon Wright had 5 interceptions and 3 fumble recoveries. That's 15, right? Who's gonna replace that? And it's not about either like somebody replacing that one for one. It's about what you do functionally to get over that. And we'll see what's going to happen in that one. Kobe Bryant could be a big missing piece of what this team makes. He brings playmaking, he brings versatility, and he brings experience from an elite defense in this league. He himself had 4 interceptions last season, right? And so when we're hearing like the early training camp and the success that Kobe Bryant's having here, that's great to see. He's bringing, and hopefully he also brings a winning standard to this team because he says it. He's seen it, right? And so that's what you need to do. When you're establishing an identity, you need people who are going to be there and be locked in to get that done. And so, while the offense has gotten a lot of talk this offseason and practice is going on right now, I have a post-practice episode maybe later on in the day. Grady Jarrett also talked about the mindset of the Bears defense and his mindset going into it. And he said this: we're always the hunters, and that's the mindset. Because it doesn't really matter about what everybody else is doing. It's about how we're going about our process and what we do. We're always the hunters. That's the mindset that we've taken. Listen, you pair that with what Jaylon Johnson said. If you get a Bears defense that is locked in, doing more than just takeaways, establishing an identity, establishing accountability across that unit, then on top of that, you have the mindset of coming in and being the hunter. That's where you can start making some necessary steps to getting into the right place. So listen, we're Bears. We're supposed to be apex predators. Let's go out there and show it. Because as much as offense is sexy and offense is going to be this thing that I do think a lot of people, for the people that do have faith in the Bears, a lot of it is tied into the offense and this next step that we can make under Ben Johnson with Caleb and all the weapons that we have here. But I think on top of all of that, like, don't forget, when the Bears have been good, when the Bears have been great, the defense has been a huge part of that. The defense has been an identity of that. And I, for one, want to get the monsters of the Midway back. I want us to feel like a team that's a monster of the Midway. What we did last season was fun. It was exciting, and it was something that felt fresh because it's been so long since the Bears won at that level and did so consistently. Now it becomes about how do we now actually get to the place of being elite on both sides. And it's going to be a process. It's not all going to happen in one year. I say it every offseason, and I feel like I have to reiterate it every offseason because as fans, it's easy to get caught up in fan brain. But the reality is everything doesn't get fixed in one season. But you start making those steps. And I think the step for the defense this year is to be better. It's to just be better than what you were last year. To not necessarily live up to what the offense has done, because I think Jaylon Johnson's point was great. Like, yeah, the offense is going to score 40. What, we just got to keep them 35? No, you want to dominate. You want to impose your will against team, especially when you're at home on Soldier Field. You want those teams to know what it feels like to come indoors and play against the Chicago Bears. That's what you want. That's what you should need. That's what you should aim for. And so hopefully this is going to be a team that at least has some identity. And I mean identity more than just takeaways, that there is a certain level of play that we see from the Chicago Bears defense that we look at game to game and say, listen, at least the Bears are going to do this. At least they're going to be physical. At least they're going to make them feel it. Like those type of things. That's what you need from this team this season. So I know that my expectations may seem a little bit lower compared to what some Bears fans want to see, because I just start off at a place of realism, right? Like, I want to see this team make a realistic step that they can make. And then at that point, if you're able to do that and take it a step further, you're playing with house money at that point, right? So let's hope that the Bears can do that, because this is a team that has so much potential on it still, right? And if you see the right steps from the next players, like Austin Booker and Javon Dexter for that matter, making improvements in their run defense, if you see that, if Dylan Thieneman looks like a guy that is exactly who we drafted and makes those steps to be that player, if Kobe Bryant brings the identity, the linebackers, right? You need those linebackers to be on point. You need them to be locked in. You need them to be what they can be also because they are that second level of defense against the run game. There's so many things. And so, I've been very consistent. Where I want to see the Bears make a huge step at, I want to see them be one of the best run-stopping teams in football. Like, if the pass rush comes, the pass rush comes. But I think it's so much more important to be able to consistently stop the run, force that team to be one-dimensional, because I tell you what, even if we can't get to the quarterback consistently, I think that if our cornerbacks are healthy, we're going to have enough in that coverage. We're going to be able to throw a lot of different looks, a lot of different bodies, get physical, right? And that's something, too, that I want to see from Tyreek Stevenson this season. Bring the physicality. Like, say what you will about Tyreek Stevenson, but I want Tyreek Stevenson to get in there, get physical. That's what I want him to do. Jaylon Johnson's the guy that can shut down one side of the field. Kyler Gordon's the guy that can be versatile at that nickel position. Terrell Smith is really good in zone. If you get a Tyreek Stevenson that comes in, regardless if he's splitting the CB2 snaps or not, and just is like, I'm about to beat some wide receivers the fuck up. That's what I want. That brings some of that identity to the Chicago Bears team that we've been lacking for so long. Beat people the fuck up. Make them feel it when they play against the Chicago Bears. Teams left out of here too often, even if we did get the win, without the defense putting the fear of heart that somebody going to hit them. Like, that's why it takes some heads off. That's why I love hearing that Dennis Allen, in this defense is prioritized adding tackling and functionality to this defense because, listen, that's what you need. Go out there and beat some people to fuck up. That's what I want to see from this team. And maybe that's a little bit selfish for me. Maybe it sounds a little bit too rah-rah. Beat some people to fuck up, yo. Like, that's what I want back on this team. Let's beat niggas the fuck up. My bad. I know people don't like when I say the N-word on the show. I got carried away. I'm still a fan. I still get fired up. I still get riled up. Beat some people to fuck up, though. That's what I'm going to say. Now, let's get into these quotes from Cole Kmet, because Cole Kmet was talking about why this training camp feels different. But I want to start off with what he said about his number of touches going down and his targets going down. He said this: "I'd rather win, man. It's miserable around here when you're not winning. I do know that when I get the ball, it's great, but they put a heavy value here on the run game and pass pro. So that's the stuff that doesn't concern me. I feel like if you can do what they ask you to do here and you do it at a high level, you're not going to have much to worry about. So that's kind of how I go about things." I love hearing that. Because, yes, Colston Loveland came in, and his ability at that, he's going to get a lot of the targets there, which then makes Cole Kmet's role a little bit more streamlined. But here's the benefit of it. It makes him know exactly what he has to do to thrive. What he does in pass protection, still being that safety valve and safety net for Caleb Williams at times in regards to that one. He had 30 receptions on 48 targets last year for 347 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? They were all career lows for him, but it doesn't mean that he was not still productive in that, because he absolutely was still productive. And with the Bears' number of weapons going up, the touches are going to have to be spread around regardless, right? But Cole Kmet has the right mindset. And I know there are going to be some Bears fans like, oh, well, of course he has the right mindset, because then if not, he's going to get out of here, all that type. I'm not worried about any of that, right? Cole Kmet, you have to have players that are willing to take a backseat and to play the role that you give them, that is there for them, without making a fuss about it. We've seen when players do not accept what role changes and where the role may change a little bit but per what the roster dictates. Cole Kmet's not one of those guys. He's not shown himself to be one of those guys. He's willing to take on whatever role because, listen, Cole Kmet has done a lot of losing here. And he said that last year in training camp. There's been a lot of losing that Cole Kmet has done since he came over to the Chicago Bears. It's the reality of it. And if you want to stop losing, sometimes that means that you have to realize that your role is going to change. Now, we'll see what means when Cole Kmet's contract's up or the Bears make a decision, because we're also hearing that Sam Roush has had a really good training camp also, and I don't want to take away from that. But coming into this one, Cole Kmet has the right mindset. And when you have players that adapt to the right mindset, that adapt to that mentality and have an unselfishness, that shows you the culture that you're building in your locker room. We don't have a selfish culture here in Chicago. You're going to get the ball. You're going to get your opportunity. You're going to have your role. You're going to have your way to impact the game. And guess what? Ben Johnson is going to thank you. He's going to acknowledge you, and they're going to put you in a situation where you can best help this team win. And sometimes you have to sacrifice to win, right? And that's what I would hope that everybody on this team up and down is willing to do. Do what it takes to sacrifice if it means it puts us in a situation to win football games. Because guess what? If you come from a winning team, even if Cole Kmet decides to leave at some point, right? If it's him, if he gets a contract and he decides to walk away and leave, guess what? You you come from a winning team, people are going to pay you a little bit more, right? So, everybody wants to win. This is a game, yes, and they're paid millions of dollars to go out there and play a game that many of us spent a large portion of our lives playing for free. But you want to win football games. Nobody's out. If people are comfortable losing, I don't want them on my team. I don't want them on my team. And if you're not comfortable losing, it should means that you're willing to get uncomfortable to win. Notice what I said in that one, right? So sometimes you have to do that. And I'm not saying that Cole Kmet is necessarily uncomfortable in his role, but if he was, sometimes you have to get uncomfortable if it means the best for winning. And that means that you're put in a position that maybe isn't the situation you're most used to being put in. But maybe that's what's best for your team so you can win football games, win it consistently, make that next step to actually be a consistently winning team, because I'm tired of losing. Bears should be tired of losing. Bears fans are tired of seeing this team losing. And, I would love to reverse that. And instead of us being tired of losing, let's make Packers fans tired of seeing us win, right? Let's do that. And we'll see, right? Now, Cole Kmet also talked about this training camp for the Chicago Bears and why it feels different. He said this: it's great. It's a different feel to camp that maybe in years past. I spent a lot of my career wondering what's next and how tomorrow's going to go. I feel like I kind of know what to expect at this point, especially with the stuff and what they want to get done, what they expect from each individual. What's that saying? That's saying that people have roles and they understand what's expected of them in their role to play Chicago Bears football. What does that mean to me? That means great shit. Like, it means that this team is not just looking at it and saying, all right, or these players aren't just looking at it and saying, like, hey, we're coming in here, we don't know what we're doing. Everybody knows exactly what's asked of them. And I think that you can easily overlook how important that is for a team when your role is known. What they're asking of you is known, and they're not putting you in a position to where they're asking you to do anything that shouldn't be comfortable to what you're trying to do here. And that's the big part of this. That's what Ben Johnson and his coaching staff has brought differently for this team: expectations, accountability, and direction. That's what we lacked here for so long for the Bears. And, like when we get voicemails from Darius and stuff like that, like, I think Bears fans are really starting to adjust too to the fact that this ain't the same team that we've had for years. This ain't the same team where you don't know that you have to worry about your coach and your quarterback and stuff like that. The thing that this team has to worry about the most is who's going to step the hell up. Who's going to get their number called each and every day, right? That's what you have to worry about with this team now. We've made that next step from being a team that's trying to learn how to win to now we're trying to find the ways that we do win. We're trying to refine that so that we can be a more consistent team. And again, like I said, knock some fucking heads off this season, both on offense and in defense. And Cole Kmet, Colson Loveland, they're going to have their role in that. Those guys and the physicality that they play with and the physicality that we can bring from the tight end position overall, because Sam Roush is a big fella too. That's what you love to see for this team, and that's what you love to see develop. Now, one of the things that I was concerned about was Kyle Monangai. We talked about it on yesterday's live stream with the guys. Ben Johnson provided an update today on Kyle Monangai where he says, we're taking it day by day. It should be on the shorter side. He said that, and then about an hour later, guess what? Kyle Monangai took the football field today, and he's out there in practice. He's healthy again. He's ready to showcase, and that's what you love to see about that. He was spotted in full pads on today's practice, and he was going through drills. So if anybody was worried about Kyle Monangai, don't worry about it. He's back out there. Quick return in regards to that one. Now let's get out here and work, because this running back room is going to have a lot of work to do. This like don't make no mistake about it. Caleb Williams is the quarterback. He's going to get the stats. He's going to spread out the offense. His command of the offense is hugely important. But this running back room is going to be the engine of the offense. It's going to be the heart and soul in a lot of ways of this offense. We have to be a team that establishes the run early in games, and then we can dominate. And so I want to see Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, and I want to see those guys be out there and ready to go. And I'll tell you what, like, also I love hearing that even with that said, like, is that, the Bears, having Salman Ahmed out there as well and his opportunity to work with the second offense, and that he looked good. Like, this is a guy that I haven't even talked about is Ahmed, right? I've been so focused on talking about, the other Barnett and everybody like that, like, Coleman Bennett, like, what they can bring. I haven't even really talked about anybody else. So, who we're not hearing, though? Roschon Johnson. Nothing about Roschon Johnson at all in any of these practices. So take that for what you will, right? So this Bears team is making the right steps in the right direction. Training camp's been fun. I can't wait. Football days are coming soon, y'all. We about to start getting Chicago Bears football, and don't nobody do it like we do it here at Chicago Bears Central with actually talking football games. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Sound off down below on how you feel about everything. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Chi Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. That's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.